Before we get into the gist of things, I want to ask you something. Given the beheading, the most recent beheading by ISIS, an 81-year-old man who worked in antiquities in Syria, in other words, trying to document structures and statuary and so on and so forth from thousands of years ago. That's what he was doing. And these religious nutbags that is ISIS, these religious nutbags, the Islamic State, beheaded him because he worked in antiquities. They said it was an affront to, it was idolatry. So, and remember when, was it just before we invaded Afghanistan, when the Muslim fundamentalists out there destroyed the ancient Buddhist statues? I mean, it's one thing to destroy someone else's religious iconography, but it's something else to behead people because, old people especially, because they work in antiquities. So I have a question that has been bugging me all day. Before I get to the question, let me state categorically that I understand what caused, or who caused, the rise of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all of these Islamic fundamentalist groups. For the most part, it was the fault of the United States, United Kingdom, who for such a long time has punished Muslims in the Middle East for no reason other than they were in the way. We have overthrown governments. We have stood by idly and watched while the the Europeans, who happened to be Jewish, moved into somebody else's land and claimed it as their own because their supreme being, this cloud spook, had given it to them 5,000, 6,000 years ago. And we have the U.S., the U.K., the Western powers, France, Germany, we have done this over a long period of time, but we have done this. And most recently, of course, it was United States invading Iraq, destroying a secular society where Shia and Sunni coexisted. I won't say they loved each other, but they coexisted. We promoted slaughter between Iraq and Iran back in the early 80s, a war of attrition that went on for, what, 7, 8 years? We really have a bad rep in that part of the world. We violated Islamic sensibilities by stationing troops and providing weaponry in Saudi Arabia, site of the two most holy shrines in Islam, Mecca and Medina. And regardless of the lies told about Osama bin Laden, he had warned the United States prior to the attacks on the trade towers to get our infidel asses out of the country that maintained their holiest sites. Imagine, if you will, what would happen if a bunch of atheists invaded Jerusalem. How long would it take Christian and Jew and Muslim to go berserk and order them out, or their home countries would be attacked? So that's what's been eating at me today. I really do. Every time I hear of another beheading, And it's not just that. I saw some video today of people who are fleeing Syria, and they're going to this, I forget the island, Kos? I forget the island, one of the Greek islands. Refugees, men, women, children, babies, old people, in rafts. What is that body of water? The Adriatic, the Aegean. I'm sorry, I don't have a map in front of me. But they're fleeing from the Islamic State maniacs. And one of the videos I saw today, an old woman, a lot of these people do speak English, an old woman said that the Islamic State came into their town and started cutting the throats of women. I think every right-winger in America should be suited up, starting with Dick Cheney. Let's make him a staff sergeant. Suit him up, give him some weaponry, and put him on the front lines to fight these monsters, these religious fanatics. And if you want to get really funky, it would probably be good practice, because eventually the Christian fanatics are probably going to reach the same level as these Islamic fanatics. But how to stop this? Something that Dick Cheney and his cohort of the worst criminals who ever ran this country, no, seriously, the worst gang of international outlaws, thugs, killers, they're the ones who did this. It is their fault. It was their game. This is what the neocons, what the Project for a New American Century, half of whom were American Zionists, the other half American Christian fundamentalists. This is what they wanted. And every one of them a filthy, putrid coward through and through. So not only did we lose 6,000 Americans in these two conflicts, tens of thousands who are now permanently disabled, psychologically, emotionally, physically, but these filthy bastards are still pushing for more war, this time with Iran. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think, is what I'm saying. There's nothing I can do. I'm nobody. I don't even exist. I really don't. You might want to take your own temperature regarding that issue too, but I know that I don't exist in the great scheme of anything and everything. So what to do? I think that religious fundamentalism has to be disappeared. I don't care what the religion is. It makes not a damn bit of difference to me. Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it makes no difference. Because religious fundamentalism is vile, it is vicious, it is murderous, it is blood-soaked. It will stop at nothing. It will kill everything in its path. It will get off its path to find other people to kill, destroy. It is madness, it is sickness, it is insanity. And it's the dominant force on this planet right now.